Am I supposed to look that way?
Just look at us.
Just look at y'all. Okay. I can do that.
Okay, stand by. 4, 3.
A conversation with Commissioner-elect. Stay tuned right after this.
Crack don't
Getting closer to nature can get you closer to your family. Go to discovertheforest.org.
Welcome to Community Watch. Greg,
Doc,
how you doing?
great. And yourself?
I'm all right. We are, well, I mean, politics is a part of what we're talking about today, which means it will be a show that makes you happy since you are a political animal.
I love politics.
Yes.
I think it's part of our duty to be informed so we can make the best decision.
And our guest today is going to be Wendy Davis, who was recently elected to the City Commission, and will be, well, we'll find out from her, but sometime in early January she'll get officialized. And but we'll talk about her experience, because as a non-incumbent, it was pretty unusual for her. Her victory was a little unusual, and
I didn't think so.
traditionally,
Yeah.
traditional, and find out what she has planned and that experience. So.
Plus, this is the first we've ever had of a commissioner-elect to be on our show, I think.
Really?
Yeah, we're not having too many commissioners on here, period, but I'm just saying.
Right. Yeah, a lot of those folks avoid us. Why is that?
We got to work on something you're doing wrong.
It's me, I'm sure it is. In any case, Wendy Davis will be with us. I'm sure it'll be a fascinating half hour. So stay with us. We'll be right back.
Traditional light bulbs actually generate 9 times more heat than light. Switch to Energy Star light bulbs, and you'll realize just how much cash you are really burning through. Saving energy saves you money. Learn more at EnergySavers.gov.
Welcome back to Community Watch, and we're thrilled to have with us Commissioner-elect Wendy Davis. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to be on Community Watch.
And congratulations.
Thank you very much. And let me edit that. Those questions during the campaign, maybe not so much a pleasure. Although I enjoyed the opportunity, but those were the toughest questions I had of the whole campaign season.
Really?
Just to be honest with you, yes.
Well, that makes me feel good.
It makes me, yeah.
We want those. We want tough questions. But it wasn't just you. Everybody got the same question.
Right. I'm not saying I was slighted. You raised the bar, and I appreciate that, but it wasn't necessarily a pleasure. Let's just put it that way.
Well, I know that at least immediately after the election, there was a lot of conversation, or some conversation at least, on your unorthodox campaign. And in particular, the fact that you spent some money. You're familiar with some of these comments, I'm sure.
I'm familiar with, I've gotten a lot of questions about, why did you campaign like that? And I'm still baffled by the question, because I've sort of been in that arena since 1990, and the methods I used for voter outreach weren't particularly different. and it costs money to send mailings, and it costs money to have radio commercials, and so I happen to be supported by a lot of people who believed I'll be a great city commissioner, and was able to do the kind of outreach. And as you mentioned before, the system is kind of not rigged but it is sort of set up where incumbents have a built-in advantage. The vote for 3 system, in particular with the school board, vote for 7 system sort of helps those who are in there. And I was a first-time candidate, and a lot of people in the community didn't know me, so it was my job to give them information to evaluate my candidacy, and I felt like that should include a website and mailings, and I did a couple of innovative telephone town hall events that I called virtual house parties, and I did community house parties, and all those things take resources to implement.
But I wonder, is it the fact, because there have been elections on the local level that didn't involve incumbents only, obviously. Was it the fact that you were working so hard? I mean, I'm trying to figure out what was odd about your campaign.
Well, I think it is because there is sort of a tradition, I think one of you used that word, that for these city elections, people just kind of put their name on the ballot, and if they're invited somewhere, they'll go, and if they're at a community event, they'll shake hands and kiss babies, and those traditional things. But the more sophisticated, active outreach to voters, it's not the tradition for these very local races. But it's not unusual in Floyd County. I mean, the state house races have spent way more than I spent. Right. That state senate race in 12, goodness gracious, that primary spent more money than I could imagine raising. And I did what I can, and I feel like I was successful. What I wanted to do was engage voters and tell them about myself, and hear what they wanted the city to be and what they wanted me to do as city commissioner. And promoting those conversations takes resources. So.
Wait a minute, now you said you feel like you were successful.
So you
Yeah, I kind of think, yeah. But do you think what you did and what you demonstrated would now be used by people that are, candidates that are not incumbents? That this is kind of a model that can be used, not guaranteed, but this is a model that can be used, and you can't necessarily compete against incumbents, toe to toe. You kind of have to be different. You have to be more sophisticated in the way you appeal to people.
Well, again, I think, and I have since my first campaign I participated in, that communication with voters and connecting with voters is the way to garner votes. And frankly, I think sometimes people haven't pushed really hard about doing that, or they felt like, well, they know me because I've been this, that, or the other. And I sort of went with the assumption that 100 people knew me, and I needed thousands of votes. And so I had to work hard to find those and turn those out. City elections are historically pitiful turnout. I'm proud to say we had what could be a record turnout for the city election. I haven't dug way far back, but the only one that was close to this high was 2001, where I was also very active at trying to increase turnout. So I think it's important. I wanted more people to participate in the process, and I was honored that many of them selected me as one of their 3 choices.
Now, I know you, as part of your campaign, in addition to what might be the more standard approaches of the door-to-door canvassing, you did some, what I would consider fairly high-tech techniques. I don't even have the language to describe them, really. But you were, and one of them, I mean, you did those computer interviews.
My telephone town hall
Yeah,
events?
is that what it's called?
I call them a virtual house party.
Virtual house party.
Yeah, I did 2 of those.
Yeah.
The first was very successful. What I did is I called every phone number I could find for any voter in the city, which is just over 8,000. In the first event, 1,200 of our neighbors decided to stay on the call and be a part of the conversation. The second one, just over 1,000 people. And it's a chance, it becomes like your own radio show, right? Once they get on the phone, we tell them to press a number if they have a question to ask, and then we bring them live on the call to ask their question. In the meantime, while I'm waiting for people's questions sort of be queued up, we're having a conversation about, my ideas for the future of Rome, my background, and telling people a little bit about me. So it was a lot of fun to do.
But let's look at this from a different perspective. In that, you've spent years, in this political arena working on other people's candidacies. So you clearly have learned a lot of what works and what may not work as well. But what I see here, and I could be wrong, is when President Obama first ran, he was out of the box, cutting edge, using technology at a different level, and that's what it seems to me that you have done and what you did. And so I wonder, really, is it that just in a lot of these local elections, we are not using the resources that we do have available. Even if people had money, they just didn't use the resources. They just kind of...
Well, again, only one of the other candidates for City Commission had a Facebook page that they utilized for their campaign. Nobody else was on Twitter. And those don't cost money. I mean, they cost the time, which, has a value to it. But it's not like, nobody could afford to send mailings. They could have. We saw a candidate, I guess, for school board, basically brag about not raising money, as if raising money for the campaign was an inappropriate exercise. And again, I don't understand that because my background is to reach the voters, which is what you're supposed to do in a campaign, is say, here I am, I want to hear from you, let's have a conversation about the future of this arena, and I'd like to earn your vote. So.
Now, with the success of your virtual town hall meetings, well, is that something you'll be taking with you to the city commission to use that kind of, because I think a lot of times not politicians, elected officials say we want to hear from you, but it's not as easy and as feasible as it sounds, because you are busy, you have a lot of stuff going on. But would that be something that you'll be bringing to the city commission, hopefully, that, hey, this is the way we can reach to hear, this is the way we can hear our constituents?
I would love to. I'm not sure my colleagues would be interested in that adventure. The tricky part is it is what I do for a living. Mm-hmm. I produce those events, so I wouldn't want anybody to think I was trying to, line my own pocket by doing these events. So I would have to set up some sort of I don't make money on this one kind of thing. But I would love to be able to utilize that technology. I intend to have the city, hopefully, and if they won't do it, frankly, I'll set it up. The city doesn't have a Facebook page right now for what the city commission does. They're not using that sort of modern technological outreach to people. A very big part of my campaign, and frankly, a lot of people advised me was not a good tack to take, was I want more people involved in the process, not just of the campaign, not just voting for me. I want more people involved in deciding about the future of our city. So I want to find every avenue where we can expand that. That makes sense, and that's effective and efficient.
They don't have a Facebook page?
No, sir.
So how do you... I don't live in Rome, so how do you access information if you don't attend the
They
meeting?
have a website.
But can you access information if you don't attend the meeting? That's what I'm saying.
You can go to the website.
You can go to the website and look up minutes once they're
It's a one-way.
posted.
The city and county have a joint website, and they post information.
I've been there, and it's kind of colluded. It's kind of...
They post a lot of very good information, but you have to know where to find it.
Yeah.
And I want to make it more accessible, and I also want to make it not a one-way communication. Whether it's let's find an email for people to email their thoughts and comments. We have all these, unfortunately, I've seen public hearing after public hearing after public hearing where the public didn't attend. And, is it because they didn't feel welcome to attend? Is it because they're just too darn busy and they'd love to be there? Well, let's give them other ways to express their opinion. And I think there are a lot of ways to use technology to make that easier for the people around to be involved and for us to hear from them.
Well, I'm thinking your willingness to use some of these technologies, which really aren't, at least in the case of Facebook, new anymore. And old people like myself are using Facebook. So it's not just, it's not that cutting edge anymore, but your willingness to use these different techniques in your campaign suggests a willingness to use them in other ways too. So I don't see how that will do anything but benefit the city work.
I'm puzzled how thinking that hearing the voice of the people can be anything other than good.
No, I can imagine.
I mean, it can be complicated,
Yeah.
but so
But that's part of.
I mean,
that's part of
complicated
the-
is okay.
That's part of it. That's part of the
complicated
job.
is
because-
okay. If you're not hearing from people, how do you know that the decisions you're making are good decisions? I mean,
Well, we're coming up on a break in a little bit here, but I think it might be interesting for us to talk about the involvement or lack of involvement of young people in local politics, which you and I have had this conversation before, and I think maybe the lack of the city using technologies like the computer, Facebook, and the internet might be connected to that. So we're going to take a break here. When we come back, we'll pursue some of those issues. I don't want to get started now because they're waving at me. We'll be right back after this. Please stay with us.
7,000 high school students drop out every school day. That's a line of desks more than 4 miles long. We can keep students in school. Visit boostup.org and take the first step.
Welcome back to Community Watch, and we're having a conversation with Commissioner-elect Wendy Davis. When is it that you get confirmed, or whatever the
sworn
term is?
in.
Sworn in. Okay.
I keep
Sworn
trying
in.
not to say sworn at.
That'll come later.
It'll come pretty quickly. January 13th, the City Commission meets they meet the second and the fourth Monday of the month. So the second of Monday of January is the 13th. Okay. So they meet at 6:30 at City Hall. Again, the second and fourth Monday. I want people to come. I particularly want them to come on the 13th because I'm very excited about it. If you're really interested in hearing sort of the thought process behind a lot of the things they talk about at the meeting, I encourage people to come to the caucus, which is also open to the public. It begins at 5 down in the Sam King room. It's a little more informal, more conversational, and that's where, a lot of commissioners ask a lot of questions. When I first started watching the commission meetings, I was like, really? Where nobody has any questions? Man, they're well briefed or whatever. And it's because
Really,
they
all
were
this happened
in the
early.
caucus. So, but yeah, I'd love for people to attend, and I'm hoping to actually stream it live for folks who can't come, and maybe figure out if we can make a habit of that. But certainly, I have some supporters who'd like to see it, but can't make it to Rome on a Monday night. So.
Now, during the campaign, you shared with me a statistic that just blew my mind about how few young registered voters actually voted in local elections. Mm-hmm. And I'm assuming that we don't know about the recent election yet.
Correct. I have not gotten that data, but I am anxiously awaiting that
see if
data
it's any better.
to see if we made a difference. I did a very strong push toward younger voters, not just with the electronic outreach, but with trying to get peer-to-peer conversations about the election. Something you mentioned, a lot of people, young, old, whatever, don't know exactly what the City Commission does. And younger people in particular don't have an understanding of what they do that really affects their life. So I met with them, and with small groups, and talked about, what issues are important to you. A lot of people in the server community have a lot of concerns about our alcohol laws, and how all the servers have to get one of those badges and have to renew it every year on their birthday. And I was like, the City Commission is the one who set up that process and makes those kind of decisions about our alcohol rules. Is that important to you? And they're like, yeah, it kind of affects my daily life when I have to cart an 80-year-old woman to when she wants a glass of Chardonnay with her lunch on Saturday. And, sometimes they get mad at me and it hurts my tips. So I was like, these are the kind of conversations you need to have with people who are on the City Commission so they understand that impact. I don't think that was the intended consequence of the way these laws are structured, but I think maybe more conversations are needed.
I can't say let's be honest, but from my perspective, it just seems to me, Wendy, that once people are elected, that it's much easier to make decisions when there's less conversations. Because a lot of times when you look at some of the decisions that are made and you think, well, who made that decision, or how did they come to that? Well, clearly to me, enough conversations are not being had with everybody, with all interested parties, because I think some of the outcomes will be quite different. And so for me, I think there is this where you may encourage, conversations. I can see how not having conversations is benefiting some commissioners. Because I think with the young people, especially when I talk to a lot of young people, they really don't feel connected. They really don't feel like they have a voice. Mm-hmm. And therefore, you are actually being governed by people who you feel like don't even listen to you, but the decisions they're making are affecting your everyday life. So, I mean, how do we increase that level of conversation? And is that something the commission truly wants?
Well, I have not had a chance to talk with all of my colleagues about it, but it is something they all already know is top of my agenda. And there are some people, frankly, who are like, we can ask people 500 different ways, they're not going to come, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, and there are people who believe that. I mean, there are wise people who mm-hmm. believe that. And it's not like suddenly, a Monday night meeting is going to be top of everybody's social or agenda. I mean, I'm not naive, but I also think we haven't done enough, and we can do more, and we can do better, and we can, whatever it is, I'm going to try. And if I end up, 6 months from now, we keep having public hearings and none of the public attends, and my efforts have been futile, I'm going to back up and figure out what I haven't done enough of, to try to make it different, because it's just very important to me.
See, I think you said the key word right there is that we have been involved with such, functions where we know it's a public thing and the public don't show up. But you have to step back and say, well, what can we do differently? Mm-hmm. Maybe, like you said, streaming live. Maybe I know when I was in the military, on the Navy now, on the ship, out in the middle of the Atlantic, they would have bingo. And people could participate throughout the ship because they had the TVs, the cameras, and everything. And my point is, there's more ways to hold a town hall meeting than just right there. Mm-hmm. If I can't be there at 6:30, I can't compete. I mean, I can't participate. Right. We have to find other ways to get more people involved, which may be less intimidating, which may be more convenient for people. And I think that's one of the things that I would like to see differently. The effort to get more people involved, not just you have to be here at this time, and if you don't come at this time, then you're not involved. Right. And if you don't show up, then you really don't care, because that's not necessarily true for a lot of people.
I don't think it's true at all. Yeah. I don't think that the people in our community don't care about these decisions. I don't think we're doing a good enough job of making them aware that these decisions are being made, nor are we making it clear enough how all these little decisions really have a big impact on many people's daily lives.
Do you happen to remember that voting statistic that you told me?
I think I do, and if I'm wrong, I apologize, but it was something, I was looking at voters under 30, and I looked, you have voter history, you don't know who they voted for, but when people pick up a ballot, it's public record that they picked up a ballot. So I looked back at all the city elections, back a dozen years or so, and look to see who had voted in them, right? If you voted in one, you counted. If you voted in all of them, you were in the same list. And of that big list, it wasn't really a big list, frankly. Of that list, I think I remember it was around 5,000 people. There were 114 people under 30 who had participated. Now, to be fair, 2 years ago, we canceled the city elections because we only had 6 people running for the 6 seats. So they had to have been 22 to have had a city election they could have voted in. So really between 22 and 30, but only 115 have ever voted in a city election. And
wait a minute.
Not in a city election, right?
Wait a minute. 100 and what?
15
have only voted
in a city election
under 30.
Yes.
I'm sorry. That's hard for me to comprehend. 100.
I'd be happy to show you the spreadsheet. I know who they are.
I trust because of what
Okay,
you do. I know you know what you. But
You
it's
know,
like,
let me clarify
wow.
too. Who are still currently voters in Rome? Okay,
But
so that's the
still,
other
that is
weed
that
amount
is-
factor.
Shameful.
Yeah, it is.
That's criminal.
It is. But I mean,
that's-
if you think about the fact that typically only 2,000 or 2,500 people of the city
Yeah.
of 30,000, you know, we only have 18,000 registered. You know, having 4,500 people turn out this November was record setting. That's sad. I mean, I'm happy that it was better than it normally is, but it's still not where it ought to be.
But that figure proves absolutely how our younger voters feel about their involvement with city.
Well, and again,
officials.
if you think about it, when has anyone reached out to that and said, I'm running for city this or I'm running for city that and I would like your vote?
Yeah, but also I think it speaks to, as Wendy says, educating them, because I know during the election season you're very hands-on with the guys that you mentor, and I know you have actually taken them to the polls
That's correct.
to vote, you know, and make sure they're registered. So also I think part of it is that process of educating young people of why it's important, but then following through to make sure they participate in the process, you know, because we have seen young people, you're like, so you're not voting or not even aware of the candidates or what they're voting for. So, but when you say those numbers, it's just hard to fathom that. I mean, that is, to me, that's almost criminal.
And considering the total number of voters, you know, somebody that could really organize young voters could easily swing an election.
That's what I told them.
That's what you showed. Maybe the statistics can show.
I said, look, do you want things to change? You've got to stand up. You've got to be involved. If you don't stand up and you're not involved, it's going to be same old, same old. But just look at your neighbors. Tell your peers, you know, folks in your classes, you know, for these college kids, you can have an impact.
Well, I know if I run and for anything in Rome, I know who to talk to.
That's right. That's right.
Well, we're coming up on the next break, and we hope that once you are truly a commissioner, not just a commissioner-elect, but truly a commissioner, that you will come back and talk with us again about things that are going on.
I would love to be on your show.
No, I'm going to go further than that. Wendy has been on the show numerous times. So we are going to hold her to come on a regular basis just to keep us updated.
And
happy to do it. Bring my colleagues.
Bring some of your colleagues.
Yeah,
with
happy
you.
to do it. Happy to do
Don't
it.
tell them where you're taking them, though.
Really.
I'm sure they'd make the time to be here.
We have to take a quick break, so stay with us. We'll be right back after this.
If you're looking for a new pet that your family will cherish every day, consider adopting from a shelter. Shelters are the best places to find a new pet. That's where you'll discover healthy, loyal, and loving animals, eager to become a part of your family. A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet, so bring home your new buddy today. To find out more, visit theshelterpetproject.org.
Welcome back to Community Watch. We've been talking with Wendy Davis, Commissioner-elect, who will be sworn in as Commissioner very soon, January 13th, which would be the first meeting of the new year.
Right, second Monday.
Second
We
Monday.
meet second and fourth Mondays at 6:30 at City Hall.
All right,
Come
so
on down.
that'll be excellent. And again, congratulations.
Thank you.
And we look forward to future visits from you.
Well, I'm looking forward to the good things we can do together, building a better Rome.
Great. And we appreciate all of you joining us on Community Watch this time, and we'll see you next time. Bye now.